Good morning. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Jim Moore, and I am part of your Sunday, January 2nd, 2022 service team. Got to get used to saying that. We have a few announcements now. Early Birds meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is in the weekly email and on the website. Our upcoming speakers for the month of January. Next Sunday, Dr. Edward Burrellbaugh will be here. Reverend Kamatara on the 16th. Edward Burrellbaugh again on the 23rd. And on the 30th, we're going to have a video called Reality Reconciles Science and Religion. And it is a Michael Dowd product. Our board meeting, it will be at the usual time on Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. on January 12th. If you want to attend, and anyone is welcome to, the link can be gotten from Edward. And we are looking for 3 new board members. Our annual meeting will be Sunday, February 13th after service. That'll consist of a financial report, a year in review, looking at our future plans, and we will also elect new board members at that time. Lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoon at 4:15 p.m. to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time and participating in that way. And now let's relax and have an invocation. As we celebrate the beginning of a new year together, let us acknowledge the presence of Spirit in our lives, not just today, but every day. Spirit moves in us and through us. Spirit is the spark that lights up our every moment. Spirit is eternal, and as we are each facets of Spirit, we too are eternal. Let us allow this awareness to lead us gently down the path of least resistance, the path of surrendering to the wisdom of Spirit, because we know that Spirit, as love, loves us unconditionally, will not judge us, and simply awaits our awakening to the awareness of our divine potential. We are ever expanding our consciousness of our relationship, both to Spirit as well as with our fellow beings. Life is an ever upward spiral, and we are blessed to be in this place and time, riding the arc toward a more intimate union with Spirit. I release these words into the law, and so it is. And now we'll have a song of joy. Stand if you choose.
I wanted to say something about this song. Very simple, and I think everybody knows it. And it is emphasizing the 3 main aspects of Spirit: love, peace, and joy. So let's feel that.
What is the
Body.
song?
We forgot to put the slides in. So
We hope we know it.
I think you know it. Let's just play it.
Start playing it, we'll see if we know it.
I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river.
love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul.
Well, that worked.
Great. You may be seated. We'll now read our vision, our mission, and our affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: I know that this new year of 2022 is divinely guided and blessed each and every day. I allow Spirit to work through me to foster more compassion, love, and understanding everywhere I go. And I am grateful for the Wellspring community that supports my spiritual well-being throughout the year. Thank you. Next, we have special music from Melody Burns.
Thank you. This is a song. Turn the switch on. This is a song by Hoyt Axton that I love to sing at the beginning of every new year. In the town of Bethlehem, as the snow lay on the ground, a woman had a child. 3 kings rode into town. The father knelt and prayed as the newborn king was crowned. Another baby's born, and God says, take it one more round. One more round, humankind, will you make it? One more chance, humankind, will you take it? We'll take it the way that a child takes love. The sound of a newborn babe is a blessing every way. Each time a baby's born, it's a bit of Christmas Day. A baby's crying is a hint of the way that the Lord would sound. Another baby's born, and God says, take it one more round. One more round, humankind, will you make it? One more chance, humankind, will you take it? We'll take it the way that a child takes love. It's been going on and on ever since the world began. Spirit keeps taking chances on this little world again. God always sends a babe when things are looking down. Another baby's born, and God says, take it one more round. If you know it, sing along. One more round, take it the way that a child takes love. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. That's an awesome song.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My reading this morning, I'm taking from the January 2020 Science of Mind. Eugene Holden, who we all probably know, a religious science practitioner, internationally renowned speaker and life coach who works with people to ignite their true magnificence. I'm reading from some things he said. Happy New Year. This year, let's set the intention to be the best human beings we can be. We must be grounded in the knowing that we have everything we need to bring these intentions to fruition. Being the best does not mean being better than anyone else. It means being the person who is open to accept life just as it is. This includes accepting who we are. Accepting ourselves allows us to accept others at a deeper level. Being grounded in truth is to live from the knowing that life is good all the time. As we live from this space, we get to see the good in all of life and in everyone. Because we are created in the image and out of the nature of God, it is our mandate to spread love everywhere we go. We are the presence of love. And one small sentence from Margaret Stortz: the spirit in us is always new. And since we use the divine spirit, there is newness in us also. We do ourselves no service when we put aside the desire of our hearts. Let us then enter into the year full of love, hope, anticipation, and the determination to make this time the best, most creative, and the happiest yet. And now we'll bring up Peggy Shinn.
Is that down low enough? I think you need to put it down, push the head of it. There we go. Yeah. I'm so short that the top of the microphone is probably right in the middle of my mouth for some of you out there in the audience. The Zoom land people, I think, don't have that issue. And welcome to all of you all in Zoom land. So Happy New Year, as it's been said here a couple of times already this morning. And presenting this, Melody, of really thinking back to you and Bob. I've heard you all sing that song before, but I don't remember ever hearing that it was written by Hoyt Axton. But listening to you sing it reminded me also of back in the days when we would hear from your friend in El Paso, Gene, who would sing his song, "I didn't get world peace for Christmas again this year." And I have a feeling we're kind of in this spiral that Jim's talking about in his reading. We're right there again at some level of the spiral, and hopefully just a little bit higher up than before, that the things are happening in our world. I'm beginning to think it's Groundhog Day rather than New Year's Day, if you all have seen that particular movie. So it is a new year, 2022. This is the first time I've said that too, Jim, and it is like 2022. I was looking yesterday when I was going through my books at my practitioner license because I wasn't remembering if it was 2002 or 2001. And it was 2001. So I thought, well, I made it through 20 years of practitioner licensure. So I'm ready for emeritus, I guess. I think. So each year at the beginning of the new year or somewhere right before the beginning of the year, I listen to what shows up in my world because I'm looking for a word or a phrase to be kind of my mantra, my byword, my talisman for the year, my objective, my goal, my intention, my reminder, all of those kinds of things. And I was in Albuquerque this past week after the Christmas holiday weekend with my daughter and her family. My grandson got engaged. I can't believe that. Anyway, I was looking at some stuff in the thrift store and I saw this album there by Carlos Santana called Love, Devotion, and Surrender. And I thought, that's my word, surrender. That's how I just get the cosmic download. Last year, my word was available. And I went around telling myself and everyone else that my greatest ability for the year 2021 was going to be my availability. And I realized as I was looking at that and choosing the word surrender, that this was sort of like the next step from being available, that I was maybe baby stepping myself to the next level of surrender and acceptance. Because availability means, like I'm available to the moment, I'm saying yes to whatever, that sort of kind of thing. Surrender is a tougher thing for me, as it may be for you, because we have so much baggage attached to the word about, the white flag, I surrender, I give up the fight or what have you. But I want to choose this word as both a noun of the word surrender, as a thing, as an act, as a process, and a verb, which is, to surrender, I surrender, and a single word imperative sentence to tell myself, surrender. When something is not going my way, or I don't like something, or it's not to my preference or my way of thinking, that maybe I just need to hold that word in front of me to say surrender. So surrender to the moment, surrender to what is. There is a book written by Reverend Deborah Johnson a number of years ago. It's called Say Yes to Life. And I was thinking about that this is about what surrender is really about. It's about saying yes. It's about allowing the moment to be what it is. So I kind of rolling into that surrender, the acceptance and the allowing, and then the welcoming. And this is what I thought we could talk about today, because this is so appropriate for a new year. One of the books that I like to take a look at sometimes at the beginning of the new year is a book by Ernest Holmes that, I bring my books, and I hold them up, but the cover doesn't probably look like this anymore. These are old books. And this is called A New Design for Living, because in this book, Ernest and Willis Kinnear, who was a longtime practitioner and friend of his, helped write the book. It's kind of maps out science of mind as a design for life, as how to use this book to redesign your life, repurpose your life. So I'm going to be giving you a few things out of this book. And one of the things that Ernest says in here is we could learn to take from each moment only the joy, and I'll add the peace and love that we had in the song in there too, the lesson and the good that is in it. I'm going to say that one more time. We could learn to take from each moment only the joy, the lesson, and the good that is in it. Focus on what is the positive rather than what is the negative. Focus on what is present rather than what is absent. What is in me for the moment rather than what's in the moment for me. That sort of thing is what I want to choose to remember. So I'm just going to say to myself, I give up in order to give in order to give out. And I'll invite you to consider what I mean by that. To give up, to give in, to give out. They might sound like they're all maybe sort of the same thing, and they're all part of that surrender. The theme for our center in Ajijic this year is going within so we don't go without. And I think that's the theme for me, is the enrichment that comes from doing the inner work, is what makes it possible to not have to go without, but also to give out. In my little bumper sticker world, I call it eliminate to emanate. I've got to get out, dig out, get in there, surrender to what is inside of me and decide, well, is this really me? Is this what I want? Is this, as Reverend Sandy would say, sufficient for a child of God to be in the moment? Or is there a better, higher way that I could take in? So if I give up all of this disguise or mask or hiding out behind whatever I don't want to be revealed about the shadow part of me to me, because it's obviously obvious to other people always, you know, what we've got going on is something we think we're in this thin disguise of nobody will find out or whatever. But it's all about this eliminating to emanate. And another book that I like to look towards, and I love this part in this book by Eckhart Tolle, and I bring this because this is something that you guys are reading here at Wellspring. I think still you're working on The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, right? And in this book, The Stillness Speaks by Eckhart, and the book probably looks like this still. I don't think it's been republished yet. It's a series of just little readings or a paragraph or two, or maybe a couple of pages that are sort of thematically separated up. And he has some stuff in here about surrender that I have always liked. So he says, surrender is surrender to this moment, not to my story or your story through which you interpret this moment, and then try just to resign yourself to it. But as I would say, embrace it, welcome it, allow it. When you completely accept this moment, that is that you are no longer arguing with what is, the compulsion to think lessens and might be replaced by an alert stillness. You're fully conscious, yet the mind has chosen not to label the moment in any way. And the state of inner non-resistance opens to you in the unconditioned consciousness that is infinitely greater than your human mind. This vast intelligence can then express itself through you and assist you both from within and from without. That is why, letting go of inner resistance, you often find that circumstances change for the better. And he says, accept what is. Accept that I'm agitated and angry. Accept that I cannot accept. Yes, bring acceptance into your non-acceptance. Bring surrender into your non-surrender. And then just see what happens. So that's totally on the idea of surrender. So I have this other little mantra about surrender that I've shared with you all before that comes from the little song ditty that we made up in the course of the 5 Gifts for Abundant Living. And it served me so well over the years, and I'm so grateful for Sandy Scott deciding we should put it, not just words, but put a little music to it, because the music just, you know, infuses the whole somatic system as well as the mind and the heart about it. And I have, I think the last time I was here, I even taught it to you again. It's, I surrender to the power and the presence of God within me. And if I just say that over and over and over again, it kind of like, it's hard, especially when you're singing, I think it's hard to think of something else. You know, it's difficult to let your brain get distracted or wander around in other thoughts of resistance or non-acceptance if I'm saying something opposite like to that in the music. So Ernest Holmes, he doesn't have a whole lot about surrender as that word in the book, but in his general summary of the book, which is back in the 400s pages of the book, he does talk about surrender in relationship to love, and that this is sort of the benefit we can look to get from surrender. Love alone can overcome fear because love surrenders itself to the object of its adoration. The soul must make a complete surrender of itself to spirit. That is, the law must come under subjection to the Spirit. The will of the Spirit is peace, like a river, clear thinking, and happiness. It could have no other will. So, humankind, one more chance. Will you take it? You know? But in the new design for living is where I think that there's more information that Ernest provides about this concept of what happens when we allow ourselves to just let go and let God, just to be in that place where we have, as he said in the book there, becoming from love and compassion, surrendered ourselves, to the Spirit within us, to that presence of God within me, as the little mantra says. That's what we're surrendering to. We're not like raising the white flag saying, okay, I'll let you be right, or you know, it's not that type of thing in this concept that I want to talk about it. And so he talks in here about this unity of spirit, unity with spirit, unity as spirit, that he mentions in the book there. He says, this is the law of mind. To the degree that we understand our unity with spirit or God and give to the law only ideas of good. That goes back to take this moment and see in it and take from it only the joy, the lesson that it has to, and the good that it has to offer. So we give to the law only ideas of good. We expand our thought and free ourselves from negative consequences of our previous limited thinking. This is where we are at the beginning of a new year. Revising, reviewing, rehashing, rehearsing, all of these things that we didn't like, didn't want to change, are ready for something better, wanting to say yes to something else, however you want to characterize it or formulate it in your mind. It really goes back to letting go of what we can see in the rearview mirror were the lessons we got from our limited thinking, or our resistance. In my case is just, you know, resistance is definitely the word for me in a lot of ways with that. Because when I resist, what do you know? It persists, right? As we understand about that. So we get to the place of, well, okay, Peggy, that all sounds well and good. And you read us all these nice things from these books. And I'm aspiring and inspired to try to move to the new direction of surrender and allowing and accepting and welcoming. Well, just how the heck can that happen? You know, we are pretty well hardwired to not let go. You know, from the baby in the crib, we don't want to let go of the side rails and stand up and walk on our own. So these are things that are, I think, challenges for every human being, a part of that humankind, about will we take the next chance? Will we allow the next evolution of that spiral that Jim read to us about, that evolution of mankind? We are at the precipice, perhaps, you know, if we really stop and take a look at it. So here's some of the things that I found help me when I remember to do them, which is to compassionately, not judgmentally, allow that resistance to come up, not be trying to push it down, not to sit on it, but sit with it. And allow that resistance to be there, just like he said in the book that Eckhart Tolle says, you know, put the acceptance into the non-acceptance, put the surrender into the non-surrender. Start with that level and see where you go from there. So the resistance, and then I have to sit back and more objectively and still compassionately for me and for the situation or others or whatever it may be, to allow that to be released. And the best way for me is somatically in the body. And I don't know if this works as well for most of you, but I have just like way too much brains going on, you know, way too much cognitive thinking, way too much rehearsing and rehashing, like I said a minute ago. And that's the benefit of the mantra for me, because it helps to displace that mind chatter with something else. So this non-resistance is about getting the body to let go of it. You know, the tantrum of the 2-year-old is, I won't do it. And it's all somatically held. Well, we get over ourselves as after 2, mostly, most of us do, where we're not just totally embodying that resistance or that no, 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 no. And yet it's still wired in there and it's still coming back. And if you notice yourself, you know, maybe you get a catch in your throat, maybe your shoulders and your neck get stiff, maybe your body's more erect, you know, but you don't feel too expanded. You're more like, you know, tightening up, closing it in. So there's a couple of different things that you know, you can't priest yourself very well through these things. And I think the wonders of technology have helped me in that regard, because I can, you know, used to be, remember the old days, we'd make the tape recording of our own voice and listen to it or whatever. Now I don't have to do that. I can just go to YouTube or somewhere to go to some meditation or whatever. But I like the ones that either move you through the chakras and release things, or physiologically the parts and pieces of your body, so that you're just relaxing out of it. Instead of this, it allows you one vertebra at a time sometimes to just somatically through the body release that resistance. And then I find, I don't know about you, I find that it's a little bit easier than to be open, available, surrendered to whatever it is that was chattering in my brain that I didn't like or didn't want or I'm unhappy about or refuse to accept. And, you know, I have these tools that I teach, that I talk about from time to time, that this is about the going in order to give out, you know, in order to give out this joy, peace, love, good. Because like Wayne Dyer, you know, way back, I remember the first tapes and stuff that I listened to in Wayne Dyer way back in, I don't know, the early 80s, or I knew about him before I got to Science of Mind. And he talks about when you squeeze an orange, what do you get out of it? What it gives out is orange juice, because that's what's inside. And we are the same way when we're stressed, when we're pushed, when we're compressed that way by life or circumstances, or your mother-in-law that doesn't understand your skull mask. You know, these kinds of things are like, and yet it's what's inside that's going to come out. So what are we doing in Science of Mind and in this new design for living is about training and retraining our innards, you know, so that what's left inside of us is the orange juice that's authentically us, not all this anger, upset, resistance, constriction, whatever. So I teach that we have to first kind of reveal what's in there, what's going on, what's happening. And I'm more open and receptive to that after I've done a little bit of this body relaxation. Then you have to feel it. I don't want anything to be so pushed down or sat upon that you can't feel it. Because if you don't reveal it and feel it, you can't deal with it to heal it. And we know from what Ernest teaches us that revealing is the healing, or only healing can come from the revealing. So it's reveal, feel, deal, heal. Those are the way, you know, the way that I teach it. Or trace it, face it, erase it, replace it. That's another one that that I deal with. But you kind of have to name it to claim it, to tame it, to reframe it. And so that's the next step that I will take with this resistance. Because, you know, I hope that like I told Edward last week before the Christmas Eve thing, hope is not a strategy, but that's the beginning of faith returning. Hope is the beginning of faith returning, that I will have the faith that I don't have to do all these steps, but I still feel like I'm not quite there yet. You know, none of us is going to be enlightened until we leave the planet, probably. But to label it, and sometimes maybe to change the label of it, helps me. If I say I'm sad or I'm mad or I'm this or I'm that, you know, that labels it And that allows me to accept that you cannot change something that you won't accept. It's like, if I can't accept that someone else's opinion might have some merit, I'm not going to allow myself to change my mind at all about what their belief is or what they say, or, because we get so rigid in our stand that it's about, like, the standing, and part of it comes from what Ernest teaches us about, that we are going to be open to everything, for everything, and against nothing. And that way we stay open at the top, which is what one of the greater elements of the teaching of the science of mind is, and why we're always kind of reinventing ourselves, because we're evolving, we're spiraling up. We're allowing that next chance, that one more round to come around, so that we are able to change and open ourselves up to something new and better that's always been there, but we hadn't revealed it to ourselves in order to feel it, deal it, and heal it. So many times this naming of things for me, and I don't know if this is the case for you all, but I sort of suspect it is for all of us after the last couple of years of the communal life that we've had together apart with COVID, is that a lot of what's in there is grief or sadness, or it's grief, sad, mad kind of thing, which is all an element to the, the corollary to the axiom of fear, that it's all about fear or love. So if I have to put it in one category or the other, then I would put that into the category of fear. And I sort of believe that, we're not born with the original sin, but I do think we have a sort of primordial grief that we come in with, that comes from the evolution of mankind and humankind over the ages, as the song said, that we are carrying in our DNA from the moment of birth. All the war, all the famine, all the genocide, all the pain, all of that comes in with us to a degree, because it's been transmitted through the centuries. And the scientists are now proving up that the atmosphere of feeling and emotion and thought can definitely change our DNA and change the DNA that we transmit to the next generation. So these are not just, woo-woo kinds of things anymore. There's been studies in mice and a lot of studies that have shown over the generations, because they can breed them, and generate the next generation really quickly to do these kinds of things. And in that book that talks about the Dalai Lama's studies of brain science over the years, Change Your Mind, Change Your Brain, I think that's the title of the book. There's a study in there about the mice being born and separated at birth from the birth mother, put in a different atmosphere where their nurturing is different, and how they come out different, and the next generation of theirs comes out differently. Or as Bruce Lipton says, our biography and our biology are pretty well intertwined. And it's important for me to think about grief as not being an enemy. Grief is a frenemy. Grief is something that can help to weather the next world, to bring us the lessons, to have us the opportunity to appreciate much greater what it is we are and who it is we've been with and what it is we have that is still available to us. And we learn more, I think, from our losses. If you reflect back on your life, it's possible that many of the things that have come to you as the big ahas have been through some sort of loss or grief. And that's where the gain comes in. The loss becomes the gain, because that lesson or that change that it made for us is now a piece of the equipment that we can take to the next level to welcome the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's where the wins are. So grieving just breaks open our heart, because most of us have kind of a guarded heart. And that's what I think leads us to what Brene Brown calls being wholehearted. Being brokenhearted can sometimes be the next step that's needed in order to get to wholeheartedness. Because wholeheartedness, like she teaches in her book on vulnerability, is that we are on this path together. We are all sharing that same level of vulnerability. And this line that my dad taught me when I was little doesn't really apply. The one that says, never let them see you sweat. It's the vulnerability and the integrating of all of our parts that creates the authenticity from which we can then emanate because we've eliminated. So, and we also learn, I think, from grief that it didn't kill us. And it doesn't have to displace all the other emotions. So these are things that I remember about it. And the rest of my how-to is do what Eckhart talks about, get to that stillness, name it, claim it, welcome it, allow it, accept and surrender to it, and release it from the body. Then I'm able to be available, my word from last year, along with that surrender, to bring back the faith, the joy, the love, the peace that we were singing about this morning. And I still invite you to do the daily 5-3-1 that I talked to you about last time I was here. Just 5 minutes in the morning with spirit, either meditation, prayer, some sort of inspirational reading, whatever tees you up for the day, whatever will set you up for a win. Then sometime during the day or near the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, whatever works for you, 3 things that you're grateful for that day. That brings that feeling of expansion and love. The whole idea is to be in that appreciation that sets us up for appreciating what we see, being present to the moment, all these other things, and perform, do, one act of kindness. And I'd like to end, well, I think I'll end with this from Troward. I brought this today too. I don't know how many of you have taken the classes here that would take you back through Thomas Troward's Edinburgh lectures, but he really is one of the fathers of New Thought, for sure. And this is about the do part. We must do our share in the work and not expect God to do for us what God can only do through us. We are to use our common sense and natural faculties in working upon the conditions now present. We must make use of them as far as they go, but we must not try to go farther than the present things require or will allow. And we must try not to force things, but allow, surrender to them, and grow naturally. Spiral, the evolutionary spiral, knowing that they are doing so under the guidance of the all-creating wisdom. Have faith and surrender to the power and presence within you. Namaste. Oh, thank you. Yes. Thank you. I thought it was ending too soon. Yeah. I'm so surrendered. I surrendered to the idea that I forgot to do the treatment, which is another way of surrendering our mind. We are not changing God's mind or changing God's actions or changing anything. We are changing our mind as a treatment and the practitioner. So right here, right now, we allow our minds to open up. We recognize that we are that one mind, one heart, one God, one life. That is God's life, here and now, in that all-creating wisdom that is the guidance of our lives. We are part of that guidance. We are the co-pilot. And we feel ourselves immersed in this ocean, surrendering to the wave, allowing ourselves to be the drop of water that has all the components that the ocean has, but to be bigger, to have that power of the wave that is within us, the power and presence of God within us that we are surrendering to. And I hold for us all here right now, today, January 2, 2022. Gosh, that's like 8, the number 8, right? No, 1, it's 9. 7, 3, 1. Sorry, got distracted there. I was going to say it was infinity, but it's not. We are surrendered in this moment to the what is and to the great yet to be. We allow every moment that comes our way to be an opportunity to see the good, the joy that it has in it, and often perhaps the lesson for us that is in it as well. We're receptive, available, surrendered to what is ours to see, to perceive, to be part of. That is the greater truth, good and beauty that is in it, rather than our story or our interpretation that comes from our wounds of the past. We liberate ourselves from all of that. We move into 2022 as a new mind, a new you, a new yes to life. And in great gratitude for this philosophy, for the tools of this spirit that have been granted us through the great minds that have gone before us, like Ernest Holmes, in appreciation for it, for our community here at Wellspring, for all of those who help to support the opportunity to bring you this information, and for you to be here to open up to it. In great, great gratitude, we allow these words to be passed into the law, knowing that as they are spoken, it is so, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, Jim, for catching me up there. So now we hear from Melody again. Yeah.
Thank you as always. Thank you as always for your words of inspiration and lots to think about. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on us. Melt us, mold us, heal us, use us. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on us. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. I ever with thee, and thou in me. Though my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place, in this very room. Wow.
Amazing. Acapella, oh my gosh. I could never. Oh. Okay. As we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know that they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service. We are grateful for this service and thank you for joining us today. Lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit, or join us in the social hall for coffee and cookies. Now, if you'll please stand, we'll read our benediction and sing our peace song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.